Alrighty, so probably going to be a shorter video tonight. I don't really have too much to say really, but the Warframe dev stream happened, I guess technically yesterday now, because it is now a new day, and especially at the time this goes up, 10 a.m. on Sunday. Yeah, you guys get it. But just kind of recapping the Warframe dev stream and my thoughts on it. There wasn't a ton of info shown around, but to be fair, this is PAX. So I think it's a bit more of a game show kind of deal. It's not like TennoCon or a regular dev stream. It's more just for fun while also talking about some news. So I guess the first news is once I actually get on the image, Dante and Baruch are getting their deluxe. I quite like Dante's deluxe. Baruch is alright. Dante is a nice owl theme. I think it actually works pretty well for him. Oh gosh, sorry, I burped right there a little bit. But Dante is a nice owl theme. It really fits him quite well. I mean, he floats around. It's very nice. Baruch is, I'm kinda on. I mean, I don't even have Baruch Prime to be fair. But I do feel like it would be better if the Baruch Prime had a little bit more color distribution or ratio to it. Because it seems to be heavily white and gold. So it seems to be heavily two colors. But that's alright. It's not a big deal to me that Baruch is just alright. Then get another better image of the Dante Deluxe. Again, looks really cool, I think. There's that weird purple square right there. I don't know what that's supposed to be. Is that supposed to be like his Grimoire thing? I forget what it's called. I don't play Dante too much, okay? And you got another screenshot of the Baruch Deluxe. Again, it's alright to me, but I'm not much of a Baruch player anyway. And then since this was a game show, there were two sides competing, being the Dante side and Baruch side. Dante was representing the Vectus Incarnate, and then the Baruch side was representing the Tigris Incarnate. And the Dante side won, so Vectus Incarnate is what's getting added. Hopefully Tigris Incarnate still gets added at a later date, because I am quite a fan of the Tigris shotgun. The problem with Tigris is that it only has 2 shots at a time, and you're not really clearing out a bunch of enemies with each shot. So it's kind of like you're maybe getting 1 or 2 kills per reload, and you have to reload with it quite often. Well, I guess the cool thing about Vectus Incarnate is that this is actually the first sniper rifle incarnate, so I'm really curious to see how it's going to behave, because I really do feel like snipers are just not that useful. It used to kind of feel like snipers were just heavy hitters, but not very good for ad clear, not good for just wiping out a ton of enemies, right? It's you want to take out one guy specifically, and you want to do so very well. But over time, other weapons just, I mean, they power crept the crap out of snipers, really. It's almost like why even use a sniper rifle anymore. I think the closest thing is like Cyto 9's Neutralizer, because it basically ad clears as well. And I guess kind of Vadaria Prime, because it's got some chaining to it. But for the most part, sniper rifles just do not have good ad clear when so many other weapons can do crazy damage and ad clear at the same time. So I'm really curious to see how this is actually going to play out. And then, yep, a bunch of game shows happen. If you want to watch that, just check out the stream. You also do get some Soulframe news, but I'm not too big on Soulframe. I don't really know if I'm going to be able to find each screenshot of the incarnates that are coming, but I remember them. So just looking over here, obviously you got the Vectus Incarnate. There's Vectus and Vectus Prime. You're definitely going to want to do the Prime variant because it just has better stats. Pretty much with any weapon, the non-normal variant has better stats. I mean, Vectus Incarnate, you can already Vectus Prime, you can just look crit chance, crit damage, status, and then just compare that to the normal. It's actually not too behind on stats for the normal. Only has 5% less crit chance, but 225 damage versus 350 total damage. And then reload, I think, is another important stat. I mean, you get 2 shots as well on this compared to 1. But Vectus Prime 0.9 versus 1, and then fire rate 1.5 of the Vectus versus 2.67 for the Prime. Obviously, you can compare stats better on like wikis or actually just going into the arsenal, which I guess is what I'll do. And then what else was there? There's the Stug Incarnate, which people are pretty excited for. Honestly, I thought this was a primary, but turns out it's a secondary. Goes to show that I do not use it too often. But I think Stug Incarnate should be pretty good. I think it will charge similar to how the Torrid Incarnate does, where you just need body shots, you do not need headshots. if you need headshots with this weapon, that's going to be painful. But it's pretty cool that this is getting the Incarnate as well. And there's also the Ballistica. Don't really see this weapon used too often. Of course, Prime variant, that's what you want to put the Incarnate on. The build you use for it is probably just going to depend on what the Incarnate actually does. But I think this is another pretty cool option. You hardly ever see it. I think it's cool to see Incarnates for weapons that are hardly ever used. Because really, I think Incarnates are just it's kind of like what Rivens should have done, I think. Because Rivens are supposed to bring up weapons that are normally bad into a state that's actually good. But they don't really succeed at that too well. But Incarnates, they can really elevate a gun that's normally pretty poor. So you've got the Stug, the Vectus, the Ballistica, and then the other two are melees, which I'm not too excited for, to be honest. I don't think melee Incarnates tend to act that oh my goodness. I don't think melee Incarnates tend to act that much different between each one. But first, you've got the Obex. There's a Prisma variant. It's better in pretty much every way. Okay, well, not every way, I guess, but it has a lot more status chance, like 10% status versus 30%, so that is pretty good. Then a little bit more damage and melee speed, but I guess this is our first Incarnate for this type of melee. Although I guess there is the Ruvox actually. Okay, yeah, so never mind. We'll have to see how that goes though. I just really hope the Incarnate form is something unique, because some Incarnates tend to feel the same. And then the last, okay, I misspelled it. Destroyer Prime, that's the last Incarnate that's coming. I mean, it actually has a pretty good crit chance and damage. That seems to be on the higher side, so it should be pretty decent, I think. But that's pretty much all in the Incarnates. Again, I'm not too excited for the melee ones, but Ballistica, Stug, Vectus, I think are pretty neat options. I would love to see Tigress. I know that's one that people have really been calling for. Hopefully it gets added at least at some point. And then going back to the stream, after all the Incarnates, they talk about the Mesa Heirloom, which I gotta find it. It's around here somewhere. Yep, more Soulframe teasers. There it is. It seems like people have been pretty split on this Heirloom design. Personally, I really like it. Someone said it has a Metal Hellsinger vibe to it, and I totally agree. And I think this just looks sick. It looks very cool. Others have seemed to be a little bit more indecisive on it. Pretty much the biggest complaint I've heard is that she's very bottom heavy. Like there's a lot more going on at the bottom, but not too much at like the shoulder area, which I do kind of agree with. It is pretty bare up here. And I think the solution to it that can kind of please everyone is actually similar to the Ember Pyraxis skin. Because if I go over here, now I do not own the skin because I have this Ember Heirloom and I hardly ever even use Ember. But with the Pyraxis skin, you can like take off these shoulder attachments. So really, I think that if DE were to make some sort of shoulder attachment for the Mesa Heirloom, that would pretty much get people satisfied. Because then if you don't really care for the shoulder attachment, or maybe it's like a chest attachment or something else, I don't know. Maybe it's a Syandana. But at least in that case, if you don't like it, you can take it off. If you want it on, you can keep it on. Or maybe it could even be a specific auxiliary to Mesa. Because really, you do not see auxiliaries too much, but really I think that's like the best solution that Digital Extremes can do, because with having this already shown, there's going to be people like me that really enjoy this look and just want this. They don't really want any changes about it. And then there's the side that wants changes to it. So if changes happen to this, you're probably going to just switch the argument. The people that weren't complaining about the looks are now complaining, and the people that were complaining about the looks are no longer complaining. So really, I think it's best to just make it like have something up here as an attachment. I even saw an image for this already. It's not the highest quality image, but you can see that there's just like this little top attachment that's kind of like a mini poncho, I guess. So I think if you have something like this and just have the option to remove it, that would be good. But again, personally, I really love this design. I think it's pretty metal. And then moving on for the last thing, I mean, it's probably best to look at this in Steam, because on Steam right here, you see it already. Varuna Prime Access. Scrolling down, you got Varuna Prime, along with Paragale Prime and Serafang Prime. And then down here, you can see like the other accessories that come with it. Hantler Prime, Syandana, Vectus Prime Sumdully Akira Tails Prime Ephemera, and then that's kind of the rest of what we know from the dev stream. I don't even think they showed both of these weapons in the dev stream. And then of course there's the Prime Access trailer, which they said in a dev short that the next Prime was going to be more disturbing. That's what they said for it without trying to spoil it. And I kind of guess Varuna Prime, because the oldest frames that do not have a Prime are Varuna and Styanax. Well, it's kind of hard to see how Styanax could be disturbing. And my friend kind of said this is wonky because they went out of release order. Typically it's male then female then male then female, you know, kind of in that pattern. But really, if you look back to when let me try to find it. Where is it? It's around here somewhere. It's not that far ago. It should be closer to the top. Yeah, right here. Here's Styanax and then you got Varuna. But really, like, the release pattern that they went with at this point is it's kind of all over the place. I mean, really, you can start all the way back at Gara. Female, female, male, 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 female, 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 male, male, female, male, female, female, male, female, female, male, 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 female, female, male, female, non-binary, male, male, non-binary, female, female, male, male, female, male, female. It's not really, it does not have a pattern right now. So anyway, that's pretty much all the news from the dev stream. I mean, some pretty cool stuff. I'm happy to see more incarnates, because I think incarnates are some of the coolest stuff from Warframe. It really feels like a completely new weapon, and it's exciting to see old weapons that are poor be brought up. And then again, Dante and Baruch Deluxe, I think they're pretty cool. Not the biggest Baruch fan again, but that's just my taste. I'm fine with it. And then Mesa Heirloom, again, I personally really love it. In fact, I actually used to be a Mesa main for the most part. Let me see here, just looking at my profile. She's still my most played at 27.1%, and I have not played her for months at this point. I kind of stopped playing her so much because I kind of got tired of just pressing forward to delete everything and not using weapons. But the reason why I used her so much at the time was because I did not have any good weapons built up at all. I did not have a good primary or secondary. I used Akjagara Prime most of my time because I just didn't know what else to use. Had no clue what to do with actual weapons, but I've gotten a lot more frames in the meantime. I've gotten a lot more weapons and the actual good mods for them, as well as arcanes. So I've just played Mesa less and less because it's cool to actually use weapons and other frames. Really, having variety is very much fun. But I think with the Heirloom skin, I'll probably be playing her a little bit more. In fact, I actually messed around with like a little bit of some build tweaks just going over here. I came up with a speed build. It just uses combat discipline with arcane agility. It's pretty fun just moving around the map so fast. Nourished for the energy upkeep. And also, since I'm not using viral on the peace, what are these called again? I seriously forget. Peacemaker. I've been messing around with this just really fast fire rate build that only has heat on it, no viral, but Nourish gives viral to it, and Cascadia Flare for just more damage, because why not? I don't think there's a fire rate mod for it. Nope. And then shards are 1 parkour velocity, and then the rest are heat shards for crit chance. And Firax mostly for the Firax body count, and also melee Kareen is just a nice passive thing to have on for this and Praetos. Oh yeah, and then Authentis because of the unique trait where you get more fire rate, and then Sycoris has nothing. It's literally just a secondary to use. But yeah, I think that's about it for now. Feel free to let me know your thoughts on the dev stream. Personally, I really liked what I saw. I was hoping to see a little bit more of a, like, maybe a teaser to what the next Warframe update will be. I'm not really sure how much more info we're going to get until TennoCon, because I think TennoCon is typically around the middle of the year, and we're almost 4 months in now. To be fair, I do think the new Warframe year has been going fine so far. Maybe like a little bit dry on content, but that's alright. I still have plenty of stuff to do. Anyway, I think that's it for now, so I'll see you all in whatever I do next.